Good morning, everybody. It is 9 o'clock, a Thursday morning here on November 6th. I'm Jane Monreal. You're watching Live Impact News on WCNC+. As we enter day 37 now of the federal government shutdown, the longest government shutdown in U.S. history, talk of the town is how air travel is going to be affected, with the FAA announcing yesterday, and the Department of Transportation Secretary Duffy saying that the FAA is going to cut back on 10% of its flights across the country in 40 of the major markets. Just getting a statement right now from Charlotte Douglas Airport, and they have been recognized among the 40 airports for reducing flight schedules. However, we have been notified of any reduction. We have not been notified of any reduction at CLT at this time. Our airline partners, including American, will determine and communicate any schedule changes directly to customers. Charlotte Douglas remaining in close communication with our federal and airline partners to stay informed and responsive as needed. There are currently no significant impacts to airport operations. Passengers should check flight status with their airline and plan to arrive in the terminal 2 hours before domestic flights, 3 hours before international. We extend our sincere thanks to all our partners, especially TSA and ATC staff, for their continued commitment to ensuring travelers reach their destinations safely. Our Bria Smith is live at Charlotte Douglas Airport this morning. And Bria, what are you seeing as you've been there looking at travelers, and talk to travelers as they get ready for their flights?
Yeah, Jane, well, we've been here since 5 a.m., so quite a few hours here. If you can take a look behind me, this is the TSA line. Not many travelers in this line. It's not backed up. It has fluctuated since 5 a.m., so there was, minimal foot traffic there, and then, it started to increase during that 7 a.m. window now, and it's looking like it's coming back down. But starting tomorrow, you'll start to see that 4% flight cut that the FAA is talking about that will gradually increase to Saturday, 5% increase, and then into next week it'll be a 10% increase, Jane, of those flight cuts. And that's what some of the travelers that we had the chance to speak with here this morning were kind of concerned about, especially one traveler who travels for their job kind of weekly.
Yeah, that could be a definite a pain point, Bria. It does look pretty calm out there, but right now, are you seeing any delays on the board?
So, Jane, I haven't had the chance to actually look at the board just yet. It doesn't seem that there are any delays as far as I've learned so far, but I have spoken to a traveler, and literally just seconds ago spoke to a man and his family who are getting ready to board their flight here in a few, and he literally voiced, I just hope that our flight doesn't get canceled. So that's the worry. And a traveler that we spoke to a little earlier this morning also mentioning that next week he'll have to travel to 3 different cities, Jane, and he's hoping that he'll be able to return home here to Charlotte in that flight not be canceled. So just a little bit of concern from passengers who actively are in the airport and taking those flights.
Yeah, Bria, Carlene just taking a look here at what FlightAware, but
FlightAware, yeah, it says 15
delays.
Which is not bad.
No, that's not bad at all. And as a matter of fact, my husband's flying, and he is delayed, but he did just take off. So looking at an hour delay, they didn't say anything about because of air traffic control shortages. What is the FAA saying about staff shortages, Bria?
Yeah, Jane, they are recognizing the fatigue within the department. Nationwide, there have been 2,000 to 3,000, air traffic controllers that aren't operating as usual throughout the country. And so they're definitely starting to feel that burnout as they're, I believe at week 5 of not being paid. So, the FAA just wanting to, acknowledge that there is a shortage. And they're just saying that something needs to be done for these staff members who are, going without pay, hitting here week 5.
Absolutely. Bria Smith, thank you for that live update. And some air traffic controllers also having to get a side hustle to try to pay some of those bills, get some food on the table. Appreciate the update. Travelers look pretty calm right now, so we'll keep an eye on that. Thanks.
Yep. Absolutely.
All right. Our Bria Smith out there at Charlotte Douglas Airport. If you do have any issues or if there's any announcement, give us an update. Throw us a line here on WCNC Charlotte. I am flying out late tonight, so I'll try to give you an update as well on the socials, but it is definitely a concern as we wait for the impact and what that looks like in the days to come. 4% potentially tomorrow. All right, so I talked to Katie Nastro from Going. She is our travel expert that I go to a lot about some of these impacts. Now, this was prior to the FAA's announcement that they were going to cut back on some of the flights. But the advice still stands. How passengers can be protected, what to expect as we enter a very busy travel season. This was yesterday on WCNC Plus as we play this for you now to let you know what leaders are thinking and how this shutdown is going to impact travel. Watching live, there a press conference from House GOP leadership on this 36th day of the federal government shutdown. You heard mention that a lot of workers are affected and impacted trying to get them back to work. And that is having a ripple effect on the Americans at large, the population, especially when it comes to travel. And as we look at the holiday travel season between Thanksgiving and New Year's, it is really, we expect to feel the pinch here if this continues much longer. So Katie Nastro from Going, our travel expert, our go-to here, is now joining us live on Live Impact News. And Katie, you said that you're feeling this, you're seeing this from other media outlets talking to you, and that it is the topic du jour, isn't it? What are you telling everybody?
Yeah, look, Jen, it is one of those time periods that we have never seen before because this is now the longest shutdown in history. And what we know from previous shutdowns is the theme that we've talked about nonstop is the longer this lasts, the bigger the impacts are going to be for travelers. And what I can say is we've really been sort of lucky in the way of cancellations up until this point, but late last week, we saw the compound of weather and these impacts of the government shutdown come together in a very bad way, where we saw over 1,000 cancellations across the nation at any given point and any given airport. And because of the impacts of the shutdown, everything is just even more stressed. And so what we can tell for travelers is that this is likely going to get much worse in the coming weeks. And we are wouldn't be surprised if this kept or continued through Thanksgiving, which would be incredibly, incredibly messy.
Oh, my goodness. Do you see any regions of the country that are impacted more than others?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I would say that New York has seen its fair share of ATC staffing triggers in the last few weeks, as well as Texas. Houston is actually grappling with the impacts of the shutdown in the way of TSA. In the last 2 days, they've seen TSA delay times reach well above 3 hours at some point, just for processing, just even to get through, to be able to get to your gate. That's not even when you get to your gate when we see those impacts due to staffing triggers. So we're now starting to see the impacts in areas for TSA delays. And really, there's no clear pattern as to where this has been happening or could happen in the future. But we will say that areas like Phoenix, New York, Texas, these are all places that we've heard of multiple occasions of seeing impacts on travelers.
So many areas around the country. And like you said, as we get closer to Thanksgiving, that's really going to be a nightmare, anticipated nightmare. So what can travelers do? Anything?
Yeah. Well, I hate the term pack your patience because this is like playing Russian roulette. There is just no idea when you're going to have to pack your patience. But I would suggest to travelers a few things. One, if you can at this point, try to consider driving if possible, especially due to the fact that gas prices are at a multi-year low. So that's one sort of bright spot in terms of alternate transport, as well as if you can, try to target an early morning flight. I'm talking 6, 7, 8 a.m. even. Those early morning flights haven't seen the impacts due to the shutdown nearly as much. They really start to compound the later that you get into the mid-morning, into the late afternoon, when you see a lot more business people traveling and just leisure travelers in general. So we want people to wake up a little bit earlier, give themselves the best odds at getting out on time. Early morning flights, just by the data, have a higher on-time arrival rate by 25 to 30 percentage points versus those afternoon or evening flights. So while it's not a magic bullet, it is sort of your best case scenario for navigating these uncertain times.
And when it comes to getting a refund, a lot of customers or passengers, I should say, if they're waiting for so long and if it's the mechanical versus weather, what are the rules when it comes to getting a refund or an exchange? And is a government shutdown at all factored into any of this?
Yeah, one bright spot is the DOT regulations of when you are significantly delayed or can't have your flight outrightly canceled, you are still protected, regardless if this is due to impacts from the shutdown or weather, which is the most common cause of why we see flights getting any disruptions to begin with. So we want you to know that you still are protected. However, what I will say is that the significant delay, it has to be 3 hours or more for this to be in effect. So if you've been waiting 90 minutes, 2 hours, unfortunately you don't have any recourse there to opt for that refund or to get rebooked on a new flight. But we have heard of airlines sort of prompting customers when it is looking like the delay will continue on. If they want to make a rebooking, I've had this happen to me in-app where the airline will actually give me an alternate flight if I wanted to take, but that's not across the board. They don't necessarily have to do. But we just want travelers to remember, if you are significantly delayed by 3 hours or more or outrightly canceled, you can get rebooked on a new flight or just decide I don't want to travel at all and take that refund back to your method of payment.
Katie Nastro from Going, thank you for weighing in. Good information, as folks are definitely seeing the impacts now as we are into this 36th day of the government shutdown. TSA agents affected as well as air traffic controllers. Katie, thanks a lot. See you soon. And back out here now on Live Impact News. It is November 6th, so we are counting this as entering into day 37. We're going to take a quick break. You're watching Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Welcome back to Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Okay, so a very special time as this is fall, a lot of events happening, and this is where you can get involved in the Queen City because the Special Olympics North Carolina Fall Tournament is coming to the Charlotte area next week. That's November 13th through the 15th. And Katie McGee from Special Olympics North Carolina is here because 1,300 athletes are going to be competing across several sports. And Katie, we need a lot of people. Need a lot of people to support these people and volunteer and help you guys out, right?
We need a lot of people. Nearly 1,300 athletes from across the state will be coming to the Charlotte area to compete in 7 different sports. So to make that a successful weekend for them and to make all of their training and their hard work really worth it, we need nearly 1,100 volunteers to make this weekend a success.
And what kind of volunteer work would they be recovering?
They do a bunch of different roles. Most of it is very day of roles. So you can sign up just for one day shift, or if you wanted to do the whole weekend, you can do that as well. But we've got different roles like a competition assistant, a lunch assistant. There's scorekeepers. There's a bunch of different types of roles depending on what sports you like. We do have bocce, cycling, golf, roller skating, soccer, softball, and tennis all happening. So if you have a favorite sport out of those 7, you could pick a role that really fits best with you.
Oh, that is fantastic. Why is it important that folks, people, the participants, the athletes, get involved? What do they get out of it?
They get truly. They
I know
get,
they get a lot.
a lifetime of discipline and joy, and the inclusion aspect of it is a huge piece. When we talk about our athletes getting involved, we like to say that we're getting them off the sidelines and into the game. A lot of people with intellectual disabilities are often not included in a lot of spaces in our society, and getting them on a team, like a softball team, or even in a pair, like for a bocce pair to compete in bocce, it really gives them a sense of a team, and they get to experience the joy of sport that so many people get to experience in their life, and it really just brings it home for them.
Yeah, it really does, even in families, because it's not just the athlete, that
Right.
person participating, it's also their family and
Right.
their friends involved. All right, so what does a typical shift for a volunteer look like then?
So for each day, we have full day shifts. So you would arrive maybe around 7 a.m. depending on the start time. It might shift a little bit depending on the start time of each competition and each sport. You would arrive that day. You would get volunteer instruction that morning when you arrive. Every volunteer must have their photo ID to present when you arrive to volunteer check-in. And then you get right into it, and you hit the ground running with your volunteer role and what you're going to be doing. And then you're there throughout the end of competition, which usually lasts until like 3 or 4 p.m.
And what do you hear back from volunteers that probably do this year after year?
Usually we hear that they can't wait to come back. It's a very exciting weekend. It might be a little chilly, but we can handle the cold. But a lot of the time our volunteers are excited to do it again, and maybe it's their first year doing it and they didn't know that it was a possibility to come out and do this kind of volunteer role, and they're just very excited to be involved.
That sounds amazing. Can you do just a day from the weekend, or does it have to be the whole weekend?
You can do just a day if that's what works best with your schedule. If you want to do the whole weekend, you certainly can. It is a Thursday through Saturday, so if you have a work group, if you are in the Charlotte or Concord area and you have a group of work that you need to fulfill volunteer hours, this is a great opportunity for you to get your team from work out there at a venue and do some teamwork building, some team building, and really come together as a team.
Yeah, that's a great idea. And then if people are interested in volunteering, what do they need to know?
You can visit our website, sonc.net, and right at the top and in the body of our homepage, there's the link to volunteer. You can go to that volunteer registration. If you are a work group and you're interested, like if you have 10 or more people and you're interested in signing up your work group, you can reach out to volunteers@sonc.net.
That sounds amazing. And if someone wanted to participate and be an athlete in the events, is it too late?
Unfortunately, it is too late. We
Okay.
do require that they have 8 weeks of training before they come to a state level competition. But we have so many competitions that take place. We're a year-round sports organization, so we have competition taking place all year round. So if that is something that you're interested in, I say come on out and volunteer, get a little taste for it, and then look into how you can become an athlete in your local area.
All right, good call there. And then you guys had the Rappel event last month or a couple of months ago, right?
Yeah.
Out of Raleigh. Was it 16 stories?
It was 17 stories. I believe.
17
19.
stories.
I'm so sorry. It was 19
Oh my,
stories.
you got it. Yeah, every
It's
story
going
gets
up.
credit. All right, so and how did that go?
Oh, it went wonderful. We raised nearly $175,000 for
Fantastic.
people with intellectual disabilities across North Carolina, and we had over 100 rappellers come out, and that we thank you guys guys for helping us push that out and really get the word out. Those rappellers were very brave going down those 19 stories, and it really makes a huge difference for people across the state.
Oh, yes, they are brave. Kudos to you for, jumping off a 19-story building, perfectly sound building. All right, so volunteer. It is for next weekend, Thursday through Saturday. Katie McGee, shout out the website again to register once more.
Yeah, it's www.sonc.net.
sonc.net, and you have until when? Till
next week, up until the day of, until November 13th, you can keep on registering.
All right, get your volunteer group out there and help Special Olympics North Carolina take care of 1,300 athletes for a really great fall tournament to be had in the Charlotte area. Katie McGee from Special Olympics North Carolina, thanks for coming in.
Thank you so much.
Of course. All right, we're here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus, and we'll be right back. Right now, the time is 9:24. Thanks for joining us here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Happening right now are the House Dems. They are meeting and talking about what is needed through this shutdown, including housing and food. Let's listen in here live on Live Impact News.
As are the classes on child development milestones and cooking healthy meals. Although I've been a mother for years, every child is different, and these resources are extremely helpful. But for so many families like mine, the government shutdown is causing an enormous amount of stress because WIC and SNAP are running out of funds, and this administration is refusing to use the contingency funds Congress approved to protect them. My family has also received SNAP benefits, and although we recently lost access, so many of the families in my community that I support through my nonprofit organization depend on the support SNAP provides. I was relieved when I saw this weekend that a judge ordered Trump to release SNAP funds, but I've also heard that families may only get partial SNAP benefits this month. That will be terribly harmful for families in my community and across the country. I'm also terrified because this summer, Republicans in Congress voted to slash nearly $1 trillion from Medicaid. Medicaid is a lifeline for us. It's the reason I had access to quality prenatal and postpartum care when each of my children were born. Medicaid enables us to take our kids to the doctor when they're sick and for all their routine checkups. My older daughter has asthma and severe allergies, and Medicaid helps us afford the medications and specialists she needs to stay healthy. I have no idea how we'll access care without it. It's devastating to me that any lawmaker would attack programs that would help working families like mine access health care while doling out big tax breaks for billionaires and giant corporations. The thought that any lawmaker prioritizes a billionaire's greed over my daughter's access to her asthma medication makes my stomach churn. I want to thank the members of this committee for fighting to protect Medicaid and the Affordable Care Act. The cost of health care has skyrocketed, and these policies are more critical than ever. We need every single elected leader to sort out their priorities. That starts with funding Medicaid and the ACA, reopening the government, ensuring that there is no interruption to WIC and SNAP, and getting to work on the pressing issues that are holding families like mine back, including solving our child care crisis. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Dean, you're now recognized.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. Is this on? Can you hear me? Yes, thank you. I'm pleased to be here, but I'm not pleased for the many reasons we are here, the dysfunction that brings us here. But I am proud to be here with the steering and policy leadership. Thank you for calling us all together. And you see here on the dais also our caucus leadership. Take note, Democrats are here. Democrats have been here wanting to solve the problems of the American people, some of which are so self-inflicted by this administration, it is unconscionable. We are here. The Speaker of the House shot us all home September the 19th. So while we talk about, what are we up to, a 37-day shutdown, something like that, add 11 days to that, because we left 11 days early under the gavel of the Speaker of the House, knowing that a shutdown was coming, knowing that SNAP benefits were at risk. So I'm pleased to be here with you and this leadership, pleased to be here with these testifiers. I have the awesome privilege of introducing a constituent of mine, Miss Lisa Boone-Bogacki. I won't tell her story because I want you to tell your story. It's an important story. It's a unique story. It's a human story, but you are not alone, and I know you know that. My district spans Montgomery and Berks counties outside of Philadelphia. And it's important to note that it's a wide range of very diverse families who are impacted.
All right, House Dems talking about SNAP benefits in the midst of this shutdown. This is being carried, by the way, if you want to continue watching it here on our secondary channel on WCNC+. But right now, as we come up on 9:30, SNAP benefits, of course, one of the top concerns as folks try to feed their families. And WCNC Charlotte doing what we can, and it really just takes a village to help feed families in our area. Our Destiny Richards joining us live now from Nourish Up, the food bank here in Charlotte. And Destiny, what are you seeing? What are they saying? How can we help?
Yeah, we're here at the Nourish Up warehouse. So this is where volunteers get started with their day early in the morning around 8:30, and then they're just working around the clock to fill the pantries. There are 40 Nourish Up pantries across our area. They have one here on site as well. And the reason why we're here specifically today is because Nourish Up is getting ready to take the pantry to the people. They've got all of these food boxes here ready to go. They are going to folks at Eastern Hills Baptist Church 2 to 3 p.m. today. There's a drive-through distribution going on. And again, this is really just to help families in need. The need has been really great during this time. A lot of families that need food, and they've already been beefing up their resources. They've been getting in extra food stocked up at their different pantries. And they specifically told me, Danielle Moore, who is the chief operating officer, she says that they were already having a bit of a 1% to 2% increase in need this year. And then the shutdown happened, the SNAP benefits paused happened. Right now, there's a 20% increase in people who need assistance, families who need assistance. So again, Eastern Hills Baptist Church, 2 to 3 p.m. Vanessa Rufus will be there, and these are the food boxes going to folks who drive up. And it's not just anyone who can drive up. You do need a referral. That can be someone from a human services organization that gives you that referral. It can be a doctor, it can be a school counselor. And if you don't have one, Nourish Up can help you get one. The number is here on these boxes. That's where I'll read it off, 704-523-4333. So it's definitely a great opportunity to get food if you need some, but we also have an opportunity for you to help out if you don't need help yourself. That is with a partnership we have with Nourish Up for an emergency food drive. That's happening this Saturday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at Holy Comforter Episcopal Church. I'll send it back to you, Jane.
Destiny, if you would, because I was just writing the number down for our future reference for people who need it. You were just reading off the box there. Can you read that one more time?
Yeah, of course. It's kind of an easy number to remember. Lots of threes in it. 704-523-4333.
4333. Okay, Destiny Richards, thank you for joining us here on Live Impact News. Again, if you can come out this Saturday, everybody would appreciate it. So that is 10 until 4, a food drive at Holy Comforter Episcopal Church. It's right there at 2701 Park Road, and you can donate non-perishable food. Our team will be there to receive that and make sure it goes to the right folks who need it during such a difficult time. Nourish Up with 40 pantries. We're partnering with them. Proud to do so here in WCNC Charlotte. Also, Nourish Up, the group itself, organization, they will be joining us here on Live Impact News tomorrow at 1 o'clock, right, Carlene? 1 o'clock. So more on their mission and the needs that they are seeing. We'll hear it firsthand from organizers at Nourish Up. All right, we will go back to the House Dems right now and continue to listen in as they try to address and have this hearing on SNAP benefits and the need for health care as well during this time.
The coverage, they made my then 4-year-old son the primary subscriber and responsible party for the family plan. All correspondence, including the bills, came addressed to him. I was never given a reason for this, despite many phone calls asking and pleading for it to change. So at one point I resorted to giving my son the forms they insisted on sending him to color on, and I sent them back. Our healthcare providers, the pediatricians for my children, were simply astounded, their chins hitting the floor. They couldn't even believe this was happening. But aside from the miracle of eliminating the pre-existing condition horrors, the ACA has helped my family tremendously. Prior to it, I was paying over $1,000 per month in premiums, and that was 15 years ago. The Social Security survivors benefits my children received following their father's death went primarily towards paying for health care. Now, Republicans are sabotaging the ACA. Next year, my monthly premiums will quadruple, and my deductibles will skyrocket. The plan I am able to afford will now have deductibles of $8,450 per individual and $16,900 for family, which is now my youngest son, who is 19 and a college student, and myself. This makes my coverage essentially catastrophic coverage, as without an unfortunate major health event, these deductibles will never be reached. As the only wealthy country without guaranteed health care, we should, at the very least, be working toward making health care more accessible and affordable to all of our citizens. Letting subsidies expire and cutting essential programs like Medicaid and Medicare can literally be a difference of life and death to many. As a healthcare worker for my entire career of close to 40 years, I cannot comprehend the thought of going without insurance. Yet I am already forgoing certain medical care that is not covered by my bronze level health plan. choosing instead to try to wait another 5 years until I'm eligible for Medicare. We cannot pretend to be a great country when we allow citizens to languish without full medical coverage unless you happen to be lucky enough to be able to afford it. Thank you to all of you for hearing me and for continuing to do the work that is so needed in these times. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Representative Ivey, you are now recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to thank the Steering and Policy Committee for putting this hearing together. I appreciate the fact our leadership is here with Catherine Clark, Caucus Chair Pete Aguilar. And I want to thank all of you all, the witnesses so far. Very powerful testimony for your statements here today that I think really helped to shed light on where we are. I see Mr. DeMarco is here, someone I've known for decades who's been working on these issues and really making a great difference. So I'm pleased to see you here today. And it's critical for us. We're in a major fight right now. There's an affordability agenda that the Democrats continue to push. Healthcare is at the center of it. And, the testimony you've given so far, I think, really underscores why. And I want to make sure we sort of point out and reemphasize the point that I've been seeing happening here for a while. The Republican attack on Obamacare, or the Affordable Care Act, but I prefer to call it Obamacare, that's been going on for 15 years now, and they realized they couldn't take it out with a frontal assault. So now it looks like they're trying to go after it with death by 1,000 cuts. And when we hear what kind of impact the premium jumps are going to have, I think that really underscores the danger and the impact that can have on the American people, millions of American people. We've got Bobby Laughlin here today, who I think is going to add to this as well.
And you are watching live again, a hearing from the House Dems talking about food and healthcare during this shutdown. Again, this hearing is taking place live. It is on our secondary channel here on WCNC Plus on the app, and here on the main channel in about 2 minutes, we're going to check in with meteorologist Chris Mulcahy for your weather. You're watching Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Welcome back at 9:40 here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Yet another gorgeous day on tap. We're feeling pretty cool though. Took off the jacket once we came inside. But Chris Mulcahy joining us here in the Live Impact studio. And is this unusual? Is this kind of unusually warm for us?
Absolutely. Yeah, we should be in the mid 60s, but this morning, those parts of like Morganton only dropped down to like 59, 55. So yeah, that's really nice. And this morning we only dropped down to the upper 40s. That's better than the last couple of mornings dropped down to the lower 40s. So we're really good. What's really also unusual is how cold we're going to get. It's really tough for us to find that median. So check it out. Over the next 7 days, our temperature ranges 5 of the next 7 are going to be in the 60s and 70s, but 2 of those days are going to be in the 40s and 50s for highs. So that really just puts some perspective about how cool we're going to be. Right now, our current conditions kicking off here at 9:41. It's 62 degrees around Charlotte. Not too much of a wind chill factor because when we're above 50 degrees, it really isn't too much of a situation. And our winds are now averaging anywhere from about 5 to 12 miles per hour. So that is showing that we have a gentle breeze out and about. Occasional gusts up to 20 miles per hour will be a possibility. So most of us in the lower to the mid 60s, only exception Boone at 51, where even the Boone area is about to get into the 60s as well. Current temperatures elsewhere, we also have 61 around Salisbury and 64 for you over in Charlotte. So for your November 6th, it's going to be another bright and beautiful day. Lots and lots of sunshine, as we have been seeing over the last few days. We saw some upper-level clouds as a front passed yesterday, right when that big moon was rising up. Well, that sunshine's going to stick with us, maybe some upper-level clouds a little bit later on, but still the mid to the upper 60s. But since that front did pass, it shifted winds out of the north and northeast instead of the southwest. That's why today is a little bit cooler with highs in the upper 60s, but still a fantastic day. Overnight tonight, we're back down to the lower 40s. So literally the last couple of days outside of what we had this morning was 41 and 42 for a low. We're going to be right back to where we kicked off our Wednesday and our Tuesday morning. And tonight's forecast looks to be clear, nothing really to mention. Overall light winds, pretty decent start right when the sun's rising up, right around 6:50. Tomorrow for your Friday, the big difference is the clouds. So we're seeing a mix of cloud and sunshine throughout the day. Winds not too harsh, nothing like yesterday. And highs getting into the lower 70s. But then here we go. Charlotte FC, Game 3.
What?
Do you think we're going to win?
Oh, it's going to be close.
I think so.
It's going to be a nail biter. But yes, we have to.
Yeah. Well, and see, by the way, as far as Charlotte sports, we know who we are. It's just nice to be here.
It's nice to be here.
Yes.
Right.
So we're happy about that. But
let's win.
Just moving on to the next round. That's all we need.
It's attitude.
Yeah.
If you go in saying, "Oh yeah, no problem.
That's
we're
great."
gonna win.
Yeah.
I'm not worried.
Need a little swagger.
Right.
Yeah, and I don't even think we're going to need penalty kicks. I think it's just going to be outright.
Straight
Just
out.
clean.
Yeah.
Clean win.
Yeah, I'm calling a 2-1 win.
All right.
Yeah,
Let's go.
just call right here. Replay this on Monday. It's going to be a decent forecast starting in the lower 60s, and temperatures don't move too much, ending, I would say, in the upper 50s. And rain, I think, is going to hold off because we are looking at 2 pulses of rain. One's going to be overnight into Saturday morning, and the other one is going to be Saturday night into Sunday morning. Saturday evening is the most interesting part of all this because, believe it or not, this is how weird of a forecast this is. We have a low risk for severe storms for areas south, really south of I-85. I've been calling for thunderstorms for a chance for this, but I think the time of day is going to be in our favor, so I'm still going to keep the thunderstorm chance around. I think that's a good possibility. Just if they're going to be severe or not, I think we're just outside of that, but let me show you anyways. So this is Saturday morning at 4 a.m. At that point, I think we have some pretty hefty rain around the foothills and the mountains, and as it works its way towards Charlotte, it starts to fade out. So at 7 o'clock, I think we still have a cloudy sky when we're waking up, or at least some breaks in the clouds, and then you're going to see some passing rain. But then what's going to happen is we're going to see those clouds start to erode. But then watch. Here is 10 p.m. on Saturday, seeing some scattered showers and storms down here in South Carolina, and then they're quickly passing, and then by about 5 a.m., I think that we're in the clear. And you might have a lingering rain shower heading into your Sunday, where Sunday I think is more clouds than sunshine by the end of it, but it should be dry for the Panthers game. Meanwhile, behind the front that's bringing all this rain, we're going to cool down to 47 degrees for a high. The last time that we had a high in the 40s around Charlotte was February 21st, 2025. That was 259 days ago. So put some perspective about how long it's been. So we are calling for just impact days. These aren't alert days. These are just letting you know, hey, this is the time that you're going to see an inconvenience of the weather, especially starting off at 28 degrees on your Tuesday morning. That means extra layers for the kids. Some of you might be turning the heat on for the very first time, and that's over a 2-day span. So I would say jackets and heaters are the big need. Also, check out our wind chills. This is 8 a.m. on Tuesday. I think they could go as low as around 0 to -1 up in the high country, feeling like the lower 20s on Tuesday morning because there still will be an active breeze. So our Jerry Hunt Supercenter 7-day forecast shows that 69 to 74 is definitely my favorite part of the 7-day forecast. But luckily, that big cool down that we have on Monday and Tuesday is going to be short-lived. Highs either side of 50. 51 degrees for your Veterans Day. I think we still have a chance at least the lower to the mid-30s around freezing for your Wednesday, and then that's going to return us to normal. We should be roughly around the mid-60s for this time of the season. That's exactly where we're going to be. So this forecast that we're about to be under, 47-51, is more like January. Literally more like what we averaged the middle of January in the lower 50s and lows around freezing. So this is an exceptional cool down. So that means realistically, the 74 we have here is more true of what you would expect for the middle part of October. And then meanwhile, you have days later, it feels more like the mid part of January. So yeah, all over the place, but eventually it feels like November come Wednesday.
All right. And so look at all those sports icons.
A lot of sports.
Icons.
That's fantastic.
Busy.
We need one game at a time, though.
Yeah.
One game at a time.
But
We're gonna win.
the checkers will be happening at the same time as the
is that
Charlotte
right?
FC, and also the same time as the Ascent. So hockey will be going on the same time as the two soccer games, just let you know, or football, whatever you call it.
Football. All right, let's go.
Let's go.
Charlotte.
I'm feeling good about it.
Yes.
Yay.
All right, here we go.
All right, thank you, Chris. Beautiful day again. We're getting spoiled here in the Queen City. All right, we are going to turn our attention now and call a little health segment in at 9:47 because although October is done, which was Breast Cancer Awareness Month as well as Menopause Awareness Month, nearly half of the population will go through it. Menopause, that is, yet it remains one of the most under-discussed health stages for women. So Dr. Alyssa Dweck explaining what people should know about perimenopause and menopause symptoms and some of the options that women have.
So first, let's understand what menopause is. It is defined as 12 consecutive months without menstruation, and the average age of menopause in the U.S. is 51 years old. Perimenopause refers to the 2 to 10 years leading up to menopause, where hormone levels are really volatile and symptoms that are disruptive often start to appear. I find that my patients are often caught off guard and distressed by perimenopausal symptoms, the most iconic of which are vasomotor symptoms, including hot flashes and night sweats. These can interfere with day-to-day comfort, with work productivity, with personal relationships, and with intimacy. They also can disrupt sleep, which leads to grogginess during the day and mood irritability. Many women report that they are surviving but not thriving during this time. Menopause is not a one-size-fits-all issue, and so there are multiple options that need to be tailored individually. The gold standard treatment would be menopausal hormone therapy, but I find that many people don't want to or are unable to take hormone therapy, and they may turn to other options, including other drug options that require a prescription but that are non-hormonal, and very recently and importantly, dietary supplements such as those from Bonafide, which have been well studied for safety and efficacy and are easily accessible both online and in multiple target locations throughout the country. Please visit us at hellobonafide.com. We have plenty of medically vetted information regarding menopause, perimenopause, and of course our clinical studies.
And right now, a live look at the tree that is going to be cut down and be displayed at the Rockefeller Center. This is in upstate New York near Albany. It is a 75 feet tall, 45 feet in diameter.
It's big.
A Norway spruce.
I mean, I know it's big because I've seen the tree, but like, you know, when you see it on your side, you're like, wow.
When you get a crew.
And you need an
on the
oversized
truck,
load.
yes.
But like,
the whole crane.
You kind of like, wow,
Amazing
it's big.
that they find these gorgeous trees.
Yeah.
So this will be the Christmas tree at 30 Rock.
Yeah.
So getting cut down and getting ready for the season. That crane will put it onto a 100-foot long trailer and then make the trek. Not too far, though.
Not too far. I know
down the road.
We've gotten, you know, Rockefellers come from
got a
North
tree,
Carolina.
right?
Comes from Virginia. They've come from
From
other
Washington,
places.
yeah. So this is not too bad.
This is not too bad of a trip for a tree.
Wow. I wish they would zoom out on like the bigger picture because this is a whole situation.
Oh, yeah.
As you have crews there on scene and probably taking the whole day to it.
Oh, I'd imagine.
You got to be careful.
Precious cargo, yeah.
Got to be careful with that. All right. Nice Rockefeller Norway spruce that will head down to New York City. And the lighting ceremony we will show here on WCNC Charlotte when it's time in November. All right, we're going to come right back after a quick break on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Welcome back to Live Impact News on WCNC Plus, day 37 of the federal government shutdown. And a lot of groups are talking, politicians included, they're talking to folks who are directly impacted. A hearing taking place right now, which is being carried on our secondary channel, the House Dems talking SNAP benefits as well as health care needs during this critical time. Let's listen in on WCNC Plus.
Against the desire and the will of the president to starve hungry Americans, but it shows where his head is and where his heart is or where it's not. And that's why we've had to sue the president 46 times in 41 weeks, because he goes off on rants like this. He has contempt for the law. He is untethered from the facts, and he continues to break the law. And so we need to rein him in, and we will continue to do that, and this is another example.
Thank you. If I could just briefly, Ms. Gooden Stewart, thank you for your attendance, for your lived experience, and for sharing that and the strength that you represent on behalf of so many millions of Americans. How are the further cuts to SNAP and WIC and Medicaid straining the limited resources that you and other families are struggling with right now?
Well, myself and the families I serve in my community, with everything just being limited, resources, help, nonprofits like the Baby Stewart Foundation, it's been hard already. Families have been making the awful decision to, buy 2 weeks worth of diapers, or do I take the little money that I have and go buy groceries? So these are some of the decisions they're making, and with everything going on with the government shutdown, it's not going to lead to better living conditions. It's almost as if, these people have nowhere to turn, the families have nowhere to turn, and it may cause issues like what you said with the food banks and everything. The food banks in Galveston County are asking for donations. They see what's going on. It's elderly people hungry, disabled vets, and with these limited resources and funding low, it's extremely hard for everyone. So just having the sense of community and having to pull the little resources that we have to help people is what we are aiming to do right now.
Thank you so much for that testimony. Next, we have Representative Thompson. I recognize you for your time.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you to the Policy and Steering Committee and all the members who are here today, and to all the witnesses who've just done an outstanding job sharing your very compelling stories. And a special thanks to my Attorney General. General, thanks for being here. You've been on the tip of the spear, as it's been pointed out, on every major issue where this administration is trying to hurt the people of our state of California and people across the country. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Well, welcome to day 37 of the federal government shutdown, the longest running shutdown in our history, beating the last record set under this president during his first term in office. Well, I don't see that as winning. It's a monumental failure of the House majority, and it continues to be prolonged because of this president. The same president who, when there was a shutdown under a Democratic president, said it's the president's fault if the government is shut down. Bottom line, Speaker Johnson sent a continuing resolution to the Senate that doesn't have the votes to pass. So it's simple. Speaker Johnson, bring your Republican members back from vacation and work with Democrats to draft a bill that will pass and will fund and open the government. Too much is at stake to continue to have your members out on vacation. People are losing their health care. And make no mistake, nobody in America should not be able to have health care, nor should anyone be forced into bankruptcy trying to pay their medical bills. People are losing their food security, the majority of which are working people, kids, seniors, and the disabled. And make no mistake, nobody in the richest country in the world, a country that, by the way, feeds the rest of the world, should go hungry. Federal workers are working without pay, they've been laid off, or they're furloughed. That just should not happen. Mr. Speaker, you're guilty of public policy malpractice. You have a responsibility to work for the American people, all of the American people, not work against them. Convene the House so we can open the government and address the issues important to the people that we represent. And in addition to the things that we're talking about, which are extremely important, there are a ton of other issues we should be here working on. Telehealth has expired. There's no farm bill. Flood insurance has expired. Appropriation bills haven't been passed. The FAA flight safety legislation has not been passed. If for no other reason, bring us back so we can join Marjorie Taylor Greene in reading the names of the people who are on the Epstein files. There's a ton of things we could be doing. So bring your members back. Let's work together to address the issues that the American people sent us to Washington to work on. General Bonta, You mentioned that in your lawsuits that there's maybe some question as to whether or not all states would benefit from this. But the fact of the matter is, if it just affects people in California or the other states where attorney generals have joined you, we're talking about.
At 10 o'clock, we will get you back to the House Dems hearing on benefits during the shutdown after a break. You're watching Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. At 10:02, you're watching Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Jane Monreal. So the holidays, we know they're right around the corner, and one of the season's most beloved traditions for a lot of folks here in the Charlotte area is getting a spectacular makeover. It's the Nutcracker Magical Christmas Ballet. It returns to the Queen City on November 15th, and Bobby Christopoulos joining us now via Zoom as the Nutcracker is on tour right now, on the road. But Bobby, what is this exciting makeover about with the Nutcracker?
Sure. So we've been touring for many years around the country, but this year we continue that. And so much of what we do revolves around having international dancers here from various different countries, and they all come together to make just a spectacular show. In our show, you will also see puppets, big puppets, small puppets. Mm-hmm. We just got a new dog puppet named Sweets, who will be debuting this year. And you just will see a lot of circus-type performing, acrobatics, and what you will really see is the children, the local children, who really enhance what our show is and enhance for the local people wherever we go what it means to them.
Fantastic. For those who haven't seen the production before, you named all of the things that are going to be different about it. And what makes it so special for people to make this part of their holiday tradition? What do you think?
Yeah. So we get to come together, right? We get to come together no matter what's going on in the outside world and really celebrate this tradition, celebrate the warmth of the season, and celebrate these incredible dancers.
How can people get involved and buy tickets, and what do people need to know if they want to watch the Nutcracker this season?
Sure. So tickets are available through nutcracker.com. That's our website. and it will bring you over to the Ticketmaster site where people can buy tickets directly from the Ovens Auditorium in Charlotte. So you can, find us there.
Yeah. I mean, we're just looking at some of the video from previous productions, and it is just an amazing, colorful show. If you haven't seen it, the music is recognizable, the ballerinas, I should say, and even all of the characters, how they put costume and movement and makeup together for the stage. And the kids really do love it, don't they?
Yeah. Yeah, the costumes are so special for the kids, and just the athleticism of these dancers. They come to choose them at audition and will help them with the rehearsals. These dancers have been dancing since they were 5 or 6 years old, right?
Yeah,
and so
right.
over the course of the last 20, 25 years, they've really perfected their craft. And they love to share that with the little kids who are just coming up in their own dance craft as life goes on.
Life goes on, and it is coming to the Ovens on November 15th. Bobby Christopoulos, thank you for joining us, giving us a little sneak peek there at the Nutcracker, returning with some upgrades and a little bit of change, making more current, and it sounds like it's going to be a spectacular makeover. So appreciate you this morning. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
You too. Back here in the Live Impact studio now, I want to shift gears as House Speaker Mike Johnson and company are gathering in D.C. It looks like that picture is just chugging a little bit, Caroline, but we will get that back up and running. He is having his delivering morning comments here on the federal government shutdown. We have seen day after day bringing special groups up to the podium to talk about the latest impacts. We do know that air travel is impacted as of late, and that has been top of the conversation. If you haven't heard, the FAA announcing yesterday that they will potentially cut 10% of their flights. All right, let's go back to House Speaker Johnson live now on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus.
That they never understand that this will lead to the inevitable loss of their freedom, their opportunity, and their security, the loss of meritocracy and fairness in society, the loss of colorblindness, and the loss of emphasis on character, and the morality and the personal incentive and the common sense that we rely upon to keep a republic in operation. If you run as a socialist, you run on a big list of false claims, and you promise everything to everyone and you can't deliver, and if you were ever able to deliver, it will be to the great detriment of the very people that you lured in to vote for you. Third fact about the election on Tuesday night is that the Democrats, and you all are not writing about this, and you should be, you're not writing enough about it, the Democrats have now set themselves on a collision course in their own tent. If you look at Spanberger in Virginia and Sherrill in New Jersey, they tried to run as moderate pragmatists. That's how they self-described. But they will be no match for the coming communist wave taking over their party right now. The energy is on the side of the Marxists. Look no further than the top 2 Democrats here in Congress. We've noted this here every day. They had to bend the knee to the socialists. Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer are both from New York. The top Democrat leader in the House and the top Democrat leader in the Senate, they couldn't get around that. And so Hakeem had to ultimately embrace it. He had to give the full blessing to Mondani and his agenda. And he co-owns it. And Chuck Schumer flirted with it. He pandered all along. He flirted with that open endorsement till the better end, even though Mondani is an activist against Israel and an anti-Semite. And Chuck Schumer is the highest-ranked Jewish official in America, and even he couldn't bring himself to disclaim that. And as we've noted here every day, the sole reason for the entire federal government being shut down now, the sole reason for all the American people suffering all this pain and hardship, is because of the fear of political retribution from the far-left activists who run the Democrat Party. That is the motivation for the shutdown. It's never been about any policy issue at all. It was only so that they could show a fight and try to show that they're tough to this rising far-left activist base in the party. The old guard has been repudiated, and the radicals are taking over the Democratic Party. We have evidence now every day. Yesterday, Jared Golden announced he would not be running for re-election in the state of Maine. He's a moderate, and he has no place in his party anymore. And then this morning, you saw the headline. Former Speaker Nancy Pelosi has now announced her retirement this morning. That is a very important sign that I hope that you all will delve into. Even the famous San Francisco liberal is not far left enough for the neo-Marxists. We commend her for her services. We all do, everyone who serves in Congress, but there should be a lot written about that. Fourth point I just want to make in the aftermath of Tuesday is that off-year election results in isolated places are never indicative of the upcoming midterm election. Don't read too much into that. You shouldn't. If you do, you're going to miss it. The GOP is in excellent position to win big next year. And when I say I'm bullish about the midterms, we absolutely are, and there's a lot of reasons for that. This is not groundless optimism. It's based on facts. The reason we're in such a great position is because we are united. And while the Democrats engage in their emerging civil war, Republicans are going to continue to work and deliver for all the new voters that we brought into the party last fall in 2024. There was a true demographic shift in that election, as you know. Record number of Hispanic and Latino voters, Black and African American voters, Jewish voters, union workers, urban voters, young people. And while they say that there's this big swell of enthusiasm of young people based on what happened in New York City Tuesday night, I would give to you Exhibit A on our side. Maybe you're not noticing, but the Turning Point events at college campuses all around the country are setting records for attendance. You have hundreds of thousands of new young people weekly coming into the movement that are enthusiastic, young conservatives who are looking for truth, who believe in America's founding principles, and who want to be engaged. And they will be engaged in next year's midterms. The third reason is we got a very favorable map. You shouldn't miss this either. I was very bullish even before the current redistricting battles began. As we sit here today, there are 13 House Democrats sitting in districts that President Trump won. There's another 21 of them in districts he came within 5 points of winning. There's only 3, conversely, there's only 3 House Republicans sitting in districts that Kamala Harris won. That's a lopsided map. And after redistricting, we think we'll net a few more seats, handful, maybe 6 to 8. We're in very good position to make history and grow this majority. And finally, I'll just leave you with this. The reason we're so enthusiastic about running next year is we have a real record to run on. Mondami and Democrats want to talk about affordability. We love that subject. We love it. Look at the facts. I brought some this morning. It's the Republicans who are working every day to make life more affordable for working families. And it's not a talking point for us. We are delivering. After 4 long years of skyrocketing prices under the Biden administration, we had to take over. You don't flip a switch and reverse that overnight. It takes a while to work those policies out of the system and to get the new ones in. President Trump and Republicans are delivering results for the American people that they can see and feel. To date, we've seen core inflation is nearing its lowest level in 4 years. Gas prices have fallen to a 4-year low. Prices for everyday goods continue to decline, and blue-collar workers are seeing the largest increase in wage growth in nearly 6 decades. That's the result of our policies. And Congress, House Republicans are working hand in hand with President Trump to advance his affordability agenda. It is President Trump who ran on that. It's President Trump who's delivering on that. And we are all partners in that new effort to make America great again. It begins with the economy, and we know that. We're laser focused on making a difference in the lives of hardworking American families. Here's another demonstration, the Working Families Tax Cut. It is aptly named. It's the largest tax cut in U.S. history for working and middle-class Americans. You got Bernie Sanders running around. They're talking about the billionaires. It's not this. That's the opposite of the truth. Look at the facts. That bill was written for lower and middle-class earners, and they are the ones that will feel the positive effects going into next year. We included in that, as you know, no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, real tax relief for seniors. These are the kinds of things that people feel, and they see that we're making good on our promises. We've made historic investments in American energy dominance to drive down the cost of gasoline and groceries. And we're grounding every decision we make in common sense. That's what we restored. That's what we ran on. That's what we're delivering. A return to common sense, not the woke progressive nonsense that they delivered for 4 years, not the spending like drunken sailors that drove cost up for everything with inflation. We're restoring common sense, fiscal responsibility. We're good stewards of taxpayer dollars, and we're refusing to cave right now, today, to the Democrats' wild demand to spend $1.5 trillion in new spending That is taxpayer dollars. That's your money that they want to spend to reopen the government. That's their counterproposal. That's why we're not having a negotiation with them. It's ridiculous. Included in the $1.5 trillion that they want to spend is $200 billion, almost $200 billion, to restore health care benefits to illegal aliens. That is taxpayer money that they want to spend for that. They want to send billions of dollars back overseas for social programs in foreign countries. We're not doing that. They want to give $500 million back to the Corporation for Public Broadcasting to prop up left-leaning news organizations. We're not doing that. And by the way, in the middle of all this, they want to cut $50 billion from the Rural Hospital Fund. They can't tell you they care about health care since they put that in their proposal. We're grounding every decision in common sense. And Democrats had their chance. When they controlled Washington, look at the history. Don't forget it. This was just a year ago. You know what we inherited? They left us with a 40-year high inflation, higher taxes and energy prices, and massive instability around the world. And what did they do in June of this year? This is the most recent history no one can forget. They voted against no tax on tips. They voted against no taxes on Social Security. They voted against a larger child tax credit. The Democrats in the House and Senate voted against lower energy prices, against more American manufacturing and jobs, and against lowering health care premiums by 12%. That provision, the cost sharing reduction provision, was in the House version of the Working Families Tax Cut, the big beautiful bill. We sent it over to the Senate, and they worked to strike it out of the bill. Ask the Senate Democrats about that. Right now, they've created another mess. They've created a mess for America with this pointless government shutdown. The Democrats will tell you that they're feeling emboldened. They're feeling emboldened because they had a few blue state election results. It does not change the fact that they have walked their party off a cliff with no parachute and no path forward. The reason we're stuck right now is because of one simple fact. If they vote to reopen the government, the Senate Democrats are afraid that the radicals in their party will say that they caved. They're afraid of the retribution that will come from that. But if they keep the government shut down, they know very well, as we all do, that millions of Americans will continue to suffer as essential services remain unfunded and paychecks to federal workers continue to stay stalled. So our question for Democrats this morning is this: which constituency matters more? The loud radicals in your party or the hardworking American people? I can tell you which side the Republicans are on. 15 times we voted for the hardworking American people. And 15 times so far, the Democrats in Congress have voted for the radicals in their party. It is unconscionable to us that they've allowed it to go on this long. And at some point, all you can do is pray that common sense prevails. And that's what I've been doing a lot of. We hope and pray that there are still Democrats out there. There's just a handful. We need 5 more votes. 5 centrist, common sense Democrats in the Senate to come to those senses and do the right thing. It's time for them to put their country first. I'm delighted to introduce the next speaker, and he's a congressman from Miami. He's a former mayor of the county down there, and he's been in charge. He served as a police officer, but he was the chief of the fire department down there. I mean, the guy's resume is longer than almost anybody in Congress, and as a son of a firefighter, I always take personal delight in reminding everybody he's the only career firefighter paramedic in Congress. He's doing a great job, and he serves as vice chairman of the Republican Governance Group, one of our largest and most active caucuses I mentioned, and we're truly grateful to have him here to discuss some of these consequences of the government shutdown. Glad to have you. Carlos, come on up.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And if you indulge me, I think you brought me up here to talk about the shutdown, but I will.
And we will get back to House GOP leadership talking about the shutdown now into day 37. We'll take a break here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. We are following some breaking news right now in sports. NFL posting the passing of Cowboys defensive end Marshawn Kneeland. He scored actually a touchdown, his first one with the Cowboys just over the weekend, about 3 days ago, and passed away less than 72 hours later. His agent releasing a statement earlier this morning. No reason, no cause of death has been released yet. He was 24 years old. We're also following some breaking news and trying to gather more information. In sports, the head coach of the Miami Heat, Eric Spoelstra, massive fire at his home early this morning in Coral Gables in Miami-Dade County. And we're trying to gather some images there and trying to follow that story. But it appears that that house was completely destroyed and burnt down to the foundation. So in sports, a couple of breaking news stories for you this morning. We are also following the House GOP. It is looking like they are still talking there in D.C., talking about this federal shutdown as we continue to listen in on Live Impact News.
2 million Floridians who rely on SNAP, including more than 1 million children, will not be getting their benefits. My colleagues on the other side insist we have chosen, my colleagues on the other side of the aisle have chosen politics over food security for millions of Americans. Small business loans are being delayed, totaling nearly $300 million in missed distributions, costing our state estimated $1.7 billion in economic benefit alone. Starting Friday, 10% of the American airspace is going to be reduced because of the shutdowns ahead of the busy holiday season. More than 3,500 flights will either be delayed or canceled altogether. That's true effect of this shutdown. Let me be clear, holding the government hostage is not a responsible way to negotiate policy. On September 19th, the House of Representatives voted to extend government funding to keep the government open. And as the Speaker said, with a clean CR. There were no riders in it. There's no policy differences. It's actually a Biden budget, right? And so, you know, what is the problem? No, there is no problem. It's politics. That's the problem. Meanwhile, Senate Democrats have voted 14, now you say 15 times to keep the government closed. The funding bill before the Senate is the same short-term continuing resolution that we passed 15 times under President Biden with bipartisan support. And I supported each and every one of them to keep the government open. And I know that most, if not all, the members of RG2 also voted for the CRs to keep the government funded. We can and should debate serious issues like healthcare costs, but not at the expense of hardworking American families. I urge my Senate Democrat colleagues to pass the continuing resolution so that we can reopen the government and return to the table to negotiate real solutions. History shows that when Congress works together, we can find solutions without inflicting pain on the American people. I urge Senate Democrats again to reopen the government, end the suffering, and then join us in crafting meaningful bipartisan policy meant to improve the lives of everyday Americans. That's how we govern responsibly, and that's how we serve the American people. And I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity, and I guess now I want to turn the dais over to our Majority Leader, Steve Scalise.
Well, thank you, Carlos. And what an honor it is to follow my dear friend Carlos Jimenez, who really is the epitome of the American dream. You know, when you hear stories like his, sad stories, the root of it, having to flee your home country because Cuba fell to Marxism, to communism. But luckily, for people like Carlos, all around the world, there's one place that they can look to if they want a North Star. If they still believe in freedom, they yearn for that desire, and then it fails in their home country, they can look to the United States, because the United States represents freedom all around the world. And how dangerous of a position that is when Marxists from within try to change it here, try to unravel what makes America so great. And as Carlos came to seek that freedom that millions others have as well, like my great-grandparents who came from Italy to seek that same freedom. Ronald Reagan said it best: freedom is only one generation away from extinction if we don't fight to defend it. Those words of Reagan still ring true today because, Carlos, we will continue to fight for freedom. But it's not an empty fight. There are people on the other side here in America that are pushing back, that want to destroy that capitalist free market system. And so when you look at the results of the election, anybody that wants to go celebrate a blue state voting blue, what they're not acknowledging is what happened in a city like New York. It reverberates. When New York elects a Marxist as their mayor, there are other Democrats that are now looking and saying, does the Democrat Party represent me anymore? And today you heard it again. Democrats are the ones who are looking and saying that they're done with the Democrat Party. Jared Golden yesterday announced he's not going to run again. And he didn't just say he wasn't going to run again because he got tired of serving in Congress. I think it's really important to pay attention to what Jared Golden said. And he is in a swing district. Jared Golden is one of those moderate Democrats who represents maybe the old Democrat Party now, what was discarded by the voters on Democrat cities and states. But it's not where America is. So when Jared Golden announced yesterday he's not going to run again, he said, quote, "We're allowing the most extreme pugilistic elements of our party to call the shots. Just look again at the shutdown. For as long as I can remember, we have opposed shutting down the government over policy disputes. We criticized Republicans for taking hostages this way." That was Jared Golden explaining why he's done with being a Democrat in Congress. And when the Democrat Party no longer stands for common sense, for members that do on occasion reach across the aisle, they're going to be relegated to a scrap heap of history, because America is not a socialist nation. While the Democrat Party has turned their leadership structure over to a socialist, it's not where America is. And if they're running people like Jared Golden out of their party, they can go celebrate the results of last night's election. Again, if Alabama held an election also Tuesday and Republican governor was elected governor of Alabama, would anybody be writing a story about it? Of course not. So let them go celebrate New Jersey electing a Democrat governor, New York City electing a Democrat. The real concern is that the Cuomo wing of the Democrat Party got destroyed by the Mandami wing of the Democrat Party. And if they want to call that a victory, good luck. Something tells me they're not going to be sending Mandami to swing districts around America. He's not going to Maine. Let Mandami go to Maine for that now open seat in Congress, a 50-50 district. Will they be sending Mandami to those kind of swing districts? Colorado, where somebody like Gabe Evans represents, is Mandami going to be going there? Because that's where their party is now headed. And they chose that. But America is not embracing that form of socialism. We know what you get from socialism. You get the promises of free everything. But Americans know innately there's no such thing as a free lunch. All you end up with, the results, are the hollow promises and the failures that come with those promises, because you know you get what you pay for. And somebody else is going to have to pay for that free thing. And a lot of those rich people they love denouncing are leaving. Many have already left. So even when they go raise taxes even more, with the highest rates you can imagine, who's going to pay those higher rates? It's not going to be the millionaires and billionaires. Many of them have already left. It's going to be hardworking families in New York City. Good news for you, you might be making $100,000 a year. By the way, a police officer married to a school teacher makes more than that in New York City. They're going to be the quote-unquote rich who get the higher taxes and the free buses and the grocery stores that are run by the government with empty shelves and expired food. That's what they're going to get. But the rest of America is not going to have it. So while Democrats keep the government shut down, and they brag about it, I mean, you heard Senator Murphy yesterday, quote, "I think we're in an enormously strong position right now." Strong position? What's so strong about taking food out of the mouths of 42 American families? What is strong about that, Senator? Sure, you can vote again today to keep the government shut down, but there's nothing strong about denying food to people who are low income and who can't afford it. That's a weak place to be. But that's what they're bragging about. When, as we saw, the Transportation Secretary yesterday said 10% of flights are going to have to be cut back because we don't have enough air traffic controllers because Democrats chose not to pay them. And so people are getting ready to go travel to see their family, hopefully, for Thanksgiving. But they're not going to be able to get that flight. They're going to have to leave a day or two earlier to drive. Maybe they won't be able to fly. But don't worry, some Democrat senator thinks he's in a stronger position because he's now leveraged Americans as pawns in some game. That's what they think this is. It's disgusting. And the American people are catching on. And so while Democrats applaud socialism being the new wave of their party, the few common sense Democrats left in their party are leaving, running for the exits. Well, you might be able to leave New York City and go to Florida or Texas or somewhere else, but if they destroy America, there's nowhere else to go. That's why we're going to fight for freedom every single day, and their approach to Marxism, socialism, whatever you want to call it, will not prevail in America. Our whip, Tom Emmer.
It's day 37 of the Democrat government shutdown, and one thing has become clearer, more clear now than ever. The Democrat Party of today is not your grandparents' Democrat Party. They refuse to govern. They resort to hostage-taking when they don't get their way. They routinely put politics before people. And now they have made communists and assassination fantasizers the pillars of their party. Democrats claim they want to make life more affordable for hardworking Americans, but every time that they've had the majorities in Congress and a Democrat president in the White House, they've done the exact opposite. Take the American Rescue Plan under Joe Biden, for example, which was later deemed by economic experts as the, quote, original sin that led to double-digit inflation. Or look at the Affordable Care Act, which is so unaffordable they have to pay people to use it. The Democrats have no moral high ground to stand on when it comes to good governance. They don't know what it is. And when they claim that they're fighting for you, do not believe them. Because if this shutdown has taught us anything, it's that the Democrats will willingly inflict pain on the American people if they think it gives them political leverage. Their kamikaze politicians and their constituents deserve better. In stark contrast, however, Republicans have done our jobs. We passed a nonpartisan government funding bill out of the House over a month ago. All we need, as the Speaker said earlier, is just 5 Democrats in the Senate to grow a spine, stand up to the radicals in their party, and join us in getting our clean CR to the President's desk. Enough is enough. It's past time for Democrats to end the political games and reopen the government for the people they were elected to serve. Our conference chair, Lisa McClain.
Thank you. Well, good morning, everybody. Again, here we are. Yesterday, Americans woke up to an unthinkable reality. And Carlos touched on it earlier. A communist was elected mayor in America's largest city. How did this happen? Ask yourself, how did this happen? It happened because a small socialist portion of this country took control of the Democrat Party. A party that is now apparently united behind a socialist agenda. And slogans always seem to start with the same word: free. Free food, free rent, free buses, right? I feel like I'm at an Oprah Winfrey show. You get a car and you get a car. Well, this isn't the Oprah Winfrey show. And like many of you, my parents taught me a really good lesson when I was young. Nothing is free. Everything comes with a cost. Absolutely nothing is free. We all learned that. Look no further than the Democrats' disastrous shutdown plan. They want to give free health care to illegals. Come to our country. We'll give you, illegally mind you, we'll give you free health care on the backs of hard-working Americans. And in demanding that, they're asking for $1.5 trillion in wasteful spending and a painful shutdown. A shutdown that has denied food assistance to 42 million American families. 42 million American families. A shutdown that has forced law enforcement to work without pay. But don't worry, I'm sure those law enforcement agents can go and get free food from their local grocery store, and somebody will pay their free rent, right? Yeah, I live in reality, not fantasy. The Democrats want to jeopardize our national security. And now, flights have been reduced by 10% at 40 of our major airports. I think air traffic, like when you get on a plane, what's next? Like your plane rides are going to be free too? I mean, why stop at food and buses? Let's just give everything free. It doesn't work like that, people. Nothing's free. Somebody is paying. And who pays? Anybody want to guess who pays? Hardworking taxpayers, American taxpayers. That's who pay. Nothing's free, right? Nothing is free. Look at your Republican leaders. Just compare and contrast. That's why we voted more than a month ago to actually fund the government. That's why we've been working in our districts to help those that are suffering. And that's why we are delivering real results that drive down gas prices and drive down mortgage rates and drive down the price of eggs. No one's reporting on the price of eggs anymore, right? Now, not for illegals, not for radicals, and not for communists who despise this country, but for the men and women who love America, like Carlos and his family who came over. And let's keep it that way, and let's make sure that we keep America strong every day. So to the Democrats, let me be
And we want to bring you some breaking news right now. Told you moments ago about a fire at the home of head coach for the Miami Heat, Eric Spoelstra. This is from the NBC affiliate in Miami, and a video of his house from hours ago. Authorities, fire crews reporting that the call came in around 4:30 this morning at his residence there in the middle of Coral Gables, and the home that he purchased there in 2023. It appears it was fully involved, no one hurt, but you can see damage done as the a lot of crews surrounding this house put it out, and white smoke is being seen hours later. We are hearing that no injuries, including to the coach himself, Eric Spoelstra, have not been reported. And we'll be back here in 2 minutes on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. We'll be right back. Back here now on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus, House leadership pretty much wrapping up their comments for the day on the shutdown as we listen in on Live Impact News.
Like the executive branch had overstepped its bounds on trade or on the tariffs or something, I would have stepped in. I mean, that's my job as the Speaker of the House over the legislative branch. I would have done it in my own way, to be candid. I would have gone to the president privately and said, hey, sir, enough. I think you're overstepped the bounds. Let's try to figure that out. I wouldn't have publicly had a big spat with him because it wouldn't have been necessary. But that conversation didn't happen because I believe that what he's done is well within the bounds. And so we'll see what the court does. Yes.
Thanks, Mr. Speaker. Leader Thune has said on a number of occasions that in exchange for reopening the government, he will promise Democrats a vote on ACA subsidies by a date certain. Will you do the same in the House?
He promised it a long time ago, and he was rebuffed. I mean, that's not what this is about. I mean, they've demonstrated over and over and over. Somebody said this is the Seinfeld shutdown. It's about nothing. If you brought in 100 Senate and House Democrats right now and said, what is it about? They wouldn't even give you the same answer. They don't even know. They filed a counter proposal that's $1.5 trillion in new spending with all the crazy abuses that I listed earlier today. That's still sitting out there. That's the counter proposal. Then they tried to say it was about health care. That was never the issue for the September 30th fiscal cliff. That was always a December issue. We always knew, everybody in the building knew, we were going to have to wrestle through that and come to a consensus on a solution on the COVID-era Obamacare subsidies in October, November, December. And ironically, they're eating up all the clock where that would have been done. It's not about any of this. It's about politics, as we explained earlier. They are more afraid of the radical activists who are running the Democratic Party right now than they are of starving families, having families go hungry and having federal workers go without paychecks. That's just a simple fact. So yes, Leader Thune has been over backwards. He's offered them a vote. You know what they told him in response? No, we need you to guarantee the outcome of that vote. Well, that's ridiculous. That can't be done.
The House is funded from the Senate. Will you assure the House members that they'll get a vote, House Democrats, that they'll get a vote on ACA subsidies by a date certain?
No, because we did our job, and I'm not part of the negotiation. The House did its job on September 19th. I'm not promising anybody anything. I'm going to let this process play out. I'll tell you what they wanted. I'll tell you what Schumer and Jeffries wanted. In fact, Chuck Schumer said it publicly and decried that Thune and I would not go in a back room with them and make a four corners agreement on Obamacare subsidies. And I said, there's no way. It was never possible or appropriate for that to be handled on a CR, on a short-term stopgap funding measure, and he knows that. And we're not doing that anymore. We're not taking four corners, four leaders in a back room and making a deal and hoisting it upon the people. I'm not going to be a part of that. Chuck Schumer is part of the old way this was done, and that's part of the reason why people have such a lack of trust in Congress. We need to be transparent, open. We need to do it through the process. We need to involve and engage all of our caucuses and all of our members in this discussion. Healthcare is very complicated. It is very complex, and it is not something four people can go in a smoke-filled room in the back and make a deal on. I reject it. Yes. Look, I've spoken with the president about it. I reminded him, as I said this morning, this was not a surprise to us. I mean, blue states elected blue leaders. I mean, yeah, so what? I mean, it would have been a huge headline if we could have had an upset there, but that was to be expected. As Leader Scalise said, I mean, you know, if the three big elections yesterday would have been in, you know, Louisiana, Alabama, and Texas, you'd have a totally different narrative, right? Or name any red state. It just so happened that those were the blue states. That was the blue outcomes. That's what everybody expected. I don't read too much into that. Yes, front row. Morning.
Two questions. One, about the shutdown, you said 48-hour notice for the House to return. Does that include this weekend? And then a question for you and for Chairwoman McClain. Egg prices are no longer in the headlines, but food prices themselves have still been going up. Grocery prices are still going up. How do you respond?
Yeah, but the USDA has reported, and all of the economists have shown, food prices always go up. There's an inflationary level that's built into grocery prices, but they're going up at a much slower pace. In other words, the economic policies, even though all the provisions of the Working Families Tax Cut have not yet been implemented, that's going to make a dramatic effect. It's going to be like jet fuel to the economy. We have all these pro-growth policies that will bring down costs, increase wages, increase jobs, and more access to the economic rung so that more people can climb up the ladder. But in the meantime, even the fact that we have made these positive steps and momentum, grocery prices are rising at their slowest level in many years. You should look into that. So, I mean, that is an exhibit C, and the argument that it's Republican policies that are the only thing that's going to bring that down. The reason that your grocery prices are so high, it's multifaceted. But it's because we had 4 years of Bidenomics. Remember when they tried to tell you that Bidenomics was so good for you and your family, and everybody went, what are you talking about? That's part of the reason we shellacked them in the election last fall, because they were trying to sell you a bill of goods that wasn't true. And the reason that inflation rose is because, as was noted earlier, the big signature pieces of legislation that they passed in the Biden administration were disastrous for the economy. And it made inflation rise rapidly. Why? Because when you pour more dollars into the economy, that is the effect. It's just as sure as gravity. It's basic economics. And the Marxists and the socialists who are taking over the Democratic Party turn a blind eye to the reality of basic economics. And you're going to see the effects of that as well. Yes?
This weekend, the election results in the blue states, but there were some significant reversals of Trump's gains with Hispanic populations, particularly in New Jersey. Are you at all concerned about Republicans retaining those voters in the next midterm election without pumping that down?
No, I do believe that the demographic shift that we were able to see and experience in the 2024 election will hold. I believe that large numbers of those new voters and these demographics that have not traditionally been with the Republican Party are with us. I will point you to the study that the Democrats themselves paid for that came out, a week or so ago, and they had, I think, hundreds of thousands of respondents to these polls. And the Democrats determined in their own analysis that they are regarded as weak, woke, and out of touch with the people. Okay, that's why they lost last November, and that's why they're going to lose this coming November. Okay, as Carlos Jimenez said, as a Cuban who came here, his family immigrated here. He came here when he was 7. This is the American dream. I know that the Hispanic and Latino populations across this country understand which party is delivering for them, and they're going to feel that positive effect. They're going to feel increased wages and more opportunity, and before they get to that election next fall. And that's why we did the big, beautiful bill, the Working Families Tax Cut, so early in the year, because we wanted that to really take hold after the beginning of the year so that people will feel that. And we're convinced they will, and I think that's going to inure to our benefit. Thank you all so much.
And you're watching live the House GOP leaders talking on this 37th day of the federal government shutdown. We'll be right back on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Back here now at 10:52 on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. We heard from the House GOP leadership on the shutdown. Now House Dems are holding their press conference live on Live Impact News. Let's listen in.
Announcing cuts to air travel at 40 major airports. Instead of negotiating, he's trying to bully us. That's right. And we are not going to stand for it.
That's right.
On Tuesday night, the American people did their part. They came out and they voted overwhelmingly for progress to end Republican cruelty. They told us with their votes to keep standing up and to keep fighting for them. They did their part, and we have to do ours now. We have to save health care. That's been the crux of the fight from the beginning. And there are plenty of Republicans in the Senate and in the House who actually know that they have to save health care. They are saying it out loud that we can't afford health care premiums to double and triple so that people just don't use their health care at all, and they are at risk of dying. So we can't continue to let Republicans just slash whatever they want in violation of what we in Congress authorize. And that's why Democrats have been holding the line and must continue to do so. We're still here in Washington, D.C., ready to negotiate. We've also been organizing food assistance for our constituents, listening to story after story from families who can't pay their bills, families who are going hungry because of the cuts to SNAP. And yet these same constituents are saying to us, please do not fold without making sure that we can afford our health care, because they understand that this fight is about their ability to live. So no, a promise of a failed vote or a promise of any vote later down the line is just not good enough. Trust has completely broken down because Republicans keep breaking their promises. The urgency is real. The premiums are rising now. Rural hospitals are closing now. Tens of millions of Americans are suffering now. So we need a real, tangible win that the American people will feel now. Not a promise to think about addressing a healthcare crisis in the future. Any deal must secure the extension of the ACA tax credits and ensure health care for the American people with agreement from the House, the Senate, and the White House. Full stop. We have the momentum. We have the support of the people because we are fighting for them, with them, and we can't give up without a real victory for the people. So I want to thank our Senate colleagues for standing strong, and I want to say the people have spoken. Stay strong and do not cave. It is now my honor to, just making sure our whip isn't here yet, she's going to be here in a minute, but it is now my honor to introduce the incredible Chrissy Houlihan, who many of you saw challenging Mike Johnson, demanding that he actually sit down and negotiate. Thank you so much, Chrissy Houlihan from Pennsylvania.
Thank you, Representative Jayapal. My name is Chrissy Houlihan, and you probably don't hear me speak quite as forcefully as I did yesterday, but I come from just up the road, a purple district in Pennsylvania, just outside of Philadelphia, that has just as many Republicans as Democrats in it. Those who know me understand that I am pragmatic, I'm typically cool-headed, and I'm typically quite collegial. And for the past 7 years, I've dedicated my efforts, first and foremost, to bipartisanship, because I really believe very much to my soul that in order for us to succeed for our constituents, mine and everyone else's, that the people they send to D.C. must work together. It was never, ever optional until now. Legislating that really creative process requires that we work across the aisle. It requires that we reach across every single divide and that we navigate every disagreement to negotiate the very best possible available optimal solution for all of the American people. Is this a perfect system? Clearly it is not. Sometimes, in fact most times, the results aren't exactly what anybody wanted completely. But that's the messy reality of our democracy. It's a treasured process. And every single member of the Congress has promised, indeed taken an oath, to protect that process. Negotiation is a tool that Congress has deployed since America's founding. But right now, inexplicably in my opinion, the Republicans have refused to engage in it. And it's that stubborn refusal that is having catastrophic and life-threatening consequences. For the first time ever in my service here, Republicans have gone radio silent. which is in fact why with Mike Johnson in our current most recent exchange, and I like to think of it as a dialogue more than a confrontation, at his press conference yesterday, he reminded me and the American people that he has literally not sat down and talked to Democratic leaders since before the shutdown. Before the
You've been watching live House Dems holding a press conference of their own as today marks the 37th day of the federal government shutdown. As we come up on 11 o'clock, Charlotte Today is up next and then followed by the midday news on WCNC Charlotte. I'll see you again on WCNC Charlotte News at 4. Have a great morning.